Hello everyone, welcome to the Complete Sports Updates, this show where the latest and trending stories in the world of sports are brought to you. My name is Abib Kuranga. Joining me on today's episode is Adeboye Amosu. Together we shall be taking through the grounds as far as sports stories in today's episode is concerned. Welcome to the show, Boye. How are you doing today?
Thank you. It's good to be back on the show once again.
Absolutely. It always feels good to be back on the Complete Sports Updates, even as the Super Eagles of Nigeria failed in their quest of making it to the 2026 FIFA World Cup following defeat to the Democratic Republic of Congo in the penalty shootout. And right here on Complete Sports Updates, we shall discuss what went wrong for Coach Chelle's side, as well as taking a look at the future regarding what next for the Super Eagles after failing to qualify for the 2026 Mundial. So, boy, welcome to the show once more. So, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, well, they will not be playing in the 2026 FIFA World Cup following defeat to DRC via penalty shootouts. The Nigeria actually raced through, early lead in the third minute, courtesy of Frank the Tank Onyeka, who actually scored that fantastic goal right in the edge of the box before Misha Kelly actually equalized for the Leopards. And, the game actually went, all back and forth and all of that, but it ended in penalties, which actually was won by Democratic Republic of Congo. So let's hear your thoughts about the game. What do you think actually went wrong for Coach Chelle's side?
Well, I think it was a disappointing outing for the Super Eagles against the Leopards. A lot was expected from the team. If you take into cognizance their performance against Gabon, they started very well against the Panthers, even though they lost their way a bit in the second half. But we saw them came back in extra time and blew up their opponent. So everybody was expecting them to at least carry that performance to the game against the Leopards. But unfortunately, I think they were outplayed and outmuscled by the opponent. The opponent really wanted it more than the Super Eagles, especially. I think the Super Eagles went to sleep. Immediately they scored that early goal. And the fact that Victor Osimhen didn't return for the second half, I think it took away a lot of energy from the boys. Like they say in local parlance, he's the one that used to ginger the team on. So not having Victor Osimhen in the second half, I think it affected the team's performance, because then if you look at the formation adopted by the coach, Eric Chelle is an apostle of a 4-4-2 diamond, but he switched formation this time around to 4-3-3. I think that affected the team also, because in the second half, all we saw was long ball from the defenders to the attackers. The midfield was bypassed totally, and the Leopards, they have tall and strong defenders, so they totally outmuscled them. So, well, all well and good. It's not the end of the world. When you are down, you lift yourself up again. So for the Super Eagles, it's just for them to look ahead and fight for the 2030 World Cup. It's not a good sign for Nigeria missing out on 2 consecutive World Cup, but it is what it is. Nobody can do anything about that, so you have to plan ahead for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So you made mention of Victor Osimhen, after he was substituted, right before the second half, and immediately the Eagles were not actually playing as expected. So do you think this is somewhat, sustainable, most especially as the AFCON is a month away, depending on just one player? Do you think it's actually sustainable for a team that wants to try as much as possible to quickly, get things right as regards to using the AFCON as a tool in going all the way to making it right?
Well, personally, I think one thing about the Super Eagles, I think it's not even about the Super Eagles alone. If you look at the team, recently you look at the wingers, they've not really at least done their best for the Super Eagles. If you go back to the AFCON in the last AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire, Victor Osimhen struggled a bit for majority of the games. Fine, his presence up front was at least an edge for the Super Eagles, because defenders know that he's still Victor Osimhen. They can't afford to at least leave him out. They at least stay tied to him. But one thing I was that helped the Super Eagles at the AFCON there was the fact that Lookman was at his best, which culminated in his winning the African Footballer of the Year last year. You saw Moses Simon, even though he was not that consistent, but at least he won 2 Man of the Match award. Samuel Chukwueze contributed a little too. But these days, the wingers, they don't really come to the party for the Super Eagles. I think that's one of the problems. The Super Eagles, the coaches need to look for new wingers because I don't think the Super Eagles can rely on the likes of Moses Simon, Samuel Chukwueze. Fine, Lookman is a fantastic player, but his issue with Atalanta has really affected him. So going into the Nations Cup, there's little time left. There's no time for the coaches to really say they want to inject new blood into the team. But we just wish those guys can at least eat stuff from at the AFCON. I'm talking about the wingers because only Victor Osimhen alone cannot carry the team.
Absolutely. So now let's actually talk about the AFCON because it's actually a month away. And now that, in the eyes of majority of Nigerians, the players are actually, somewhat, in the bad, aspect. And do you think that this AFCON that is coming up in Morocco, North Africa, do you think the Super Eagles of Nigeria can actually, try as much as possible to redeem their image in the eyes of the public in terms of going all the way to win the AFCON title for the 4th time in the history of the nation?
Well, winning the AFCON in Morocco is going to be a difficult task for the Super Eagles. If you look at the quality of oppositions, as in the quality of teams that will be participating in the tournament, you look at the North Africans, whenever a North African nation is hosting the competition, it's always a big one for them, a plus for them. Because you look at the last AFCON, majority of the North African teams struggled because of the weather. But now it's like they are playing at home. And the fact that the likes of DR Congo, Burkina Faso, Uganda have really developed in recent years. If you look at their performance in this recent World Cup qualifiers, I think it's not going to be an easy task for the Super Eagles. But if they really want it and they have luck on their side, I think they can challenge for the title. Majority of the game, probably the fact that they started the World Cup qualifiers poorly, it affected the confidence of the players. If they can at least have Victor Osimhen on the pitch and really talk to themselves that, okay, let's go and placate Nigerians. Let's do this and make amends. Let's win the fans back to our side. I think they can really do it because the quality is there. It's just for them to show it on the pitch.
That's actually very, very encouraging. I think the Super Eagles of Nigeria need to, come for inspirational talk from you actually. So now, with the Nigeria actually missing out on back-to-back World Cup editions, the 2022 which was hosted by Qatar, now the one that is going to be played in North America in 2026. The next one is going to be in 2030, and by the time we get there, majority of these players will actually be in their late 20s, some will actually be in their mid 30s. So what do you think could be the implication for these players going into the next edition of the World Cup?
Well, there are a few of them who probably can still make it in 2030. That's if they qualify. I know the likes of Trustekong, the likes of Semi Ajayi, who are above 30, might not really be part of the team then. But it is what it is. There are guys in this team who are lucky to have been to the World Cup before. That's talking about Wilfred Ndidi, who is 39 now, who probably, because of his recent injury problems, has really slowed down. So you can't really say he will be part of the team if they make it to the next edition in 2030. Alex Iwobi was part of the team to Russia in 2018, and Trustekong too. For the likes of Victor Osimhen, who is 26 at the moment, the likes of Benjamin Fredericks, Kafem Bassi, other young, probably Frank Oyeka, the likes of Tolu Arukudari and Jeromako, I think they still have a chance of playing at the World Cup. There are a lot of big name players who, the likes of Jojo Oponwe, who was a former Ballon d'Or winner, didn't get to play at the World Cup. And other guys too. So to me, it's not the end of the world, but when you retire and look back into your career and you not getting opportunity to play at the World Cup, even just a minute, is something that I know they will regret in future.
Yes, definitely, and we do hope that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will definitely see something incredible, magical as regards to their end in terms of playing and participating in the World Cup, and whether it is in the 2030 or probably in 2034. So we do hope and wish Nigeria to be back in the global stage. So thank you very much for the wonderful and insightful analysis as always on Complete Sports Update. Viewers, this will be wrapping things up as far as proceedings in today's episode is concerned. Do well to like, share, subscribe, as well as comment if you enjoy watching our content right here on Complete Sports Updates. So do take care of yourselves and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.